What's up, guys? Today we're going to be looking at the 2014 NBA Finals and the San Antonio Spurs best plays of that series. This is an amazing team with fantastic ball movement and very smart counters and tactics, so I'm really excited for this one. So getting started with this first play, there is quite a bit of setup involved in the play, but it really gets started here with this double ball screen. And what you're going to see is Rashard Lewis gets switched onto Tim Duncan here. And we've got a little bit of a mismatch here. So Duncan's going to try to get into the post position area, and Manu Ginobili is going to threaten an entry pass. So you can see the back line of defense is ready to rotate onto Duncan if that entry pass goes over the top and potentially get a steal. So that is a difficult entry pass given the spacing, but what you're going to see is Ginobili is going to swing it to Diaw, and Diaw is going to have a much better angle to hit Duncan. And so now you can see Duncan sealing Rashard Lewis on his backside, and there's a better passing angle to whip that ball over the top of the defense and into a very dangerous spot for the Heat. So you see the help coming from this corner to try to steal that pass. And so Diaw's threatening that pass, but the pass ends up going to the corner where the help was sent from. So that's just beautiful basketball. Next play. All right, I will tell you why I love this play. Let's rewatch this one. I love this play because, in my opinion, the toughest defensive coverage to counter as a pick and roll offense is going under the screen. So you see here, LeBron is on Tony Parker, and he's going to go under this screen. And so there's not a lot you can do with this if you're the offense. There's no shot available because the defense is kind of playing up on the action at the same time as going under. And there's not a lot of compromise to the backside because LeBron is below Duncan on the play, so he could theoretically provide a lot of help. But the counter that the Spurs show is Duncan is going to re-screen here, going the other direction, and he's actually going to screen two guys at once, which is awesome. Now the defense is very compromised. So you see Tony Parker really draws the defense here, threatening this layup, but then he kicks it out, and then he's immediately going to relocate back to the perimeter. Diaw drives, draws the defense, and kicks, and it's a wide open jumper for Tony Parker. Next play. All right, here we've got a double drag screen. Really pretty play here. So let's take a look at the defensive coverages. So we've got Bosh on splitter, and we've got Rashard Lewis on Boris Diaw. And what we're going to see is first we've got Bosh is going to drop here and stay with splitter. But Rashard Lewis is going to have aggressive coverage on this action and stay up here and hedge. And so Patty Mills is going to counter that hedge by splitting the defense and taking a hard turn to his left, which is going to draw help from Chris Bosh and then leave splitter open. By the way, if you guys enjoy this video, please remember to like and subscribe. It really helps out with the YouTube algorithm, and then you get to see more of my videos. Next one. Oh, I love this play. All right, so this one is really cool. So we've got a cross match in transition, and we've got a mismatch with Duncan here. So the Spurs are going to look to get him the ball in the post with good position. They're fronting him, and Ray Allen's going to be worried about if that entry pass gets made over the top. And what you'll see here is Boris Diaw is clapping his hands, saying, "Get me the ball." They're going to execute a high-low action, which is really effective because Tony Parker could throw this ball over the defense to Duncan, and it would technically work, but that would be a longer pass. Instead, he's going to hit Diaw flashing to the high post, and it's going to be a more of a bang-bang shorter pass. And so while Ray Allen is expecting Tony Parker to make this pass, he's not quite expecting Diaw to get this ball. And you could see he doesn't quite realize where he needs to be in time, and he's kind of caught behind the 8 ball here. And so it's great bang play by the Spurs. Fantastic execution and knowing what is going to compromise the defense the most. All right, so let's take a look at the next play. All right, so in this one, you can see LeBron kind of fell asleep, but why did he fall asleep? So you've got a Ginobili Duncan pick and roll, and so LeBron is over here in the helper or tag position, so his job is typically to rotate off that corner and to tag Duncan on the roll, because you're going to see the big man's going to hedge that action. So Duncan's going to roll into space, creating a level of gravity that has to be accounted for, because if nobody tags that roll man, Ginobili can just whip that ball over the top and Duncan can get a dunk. So what you see here is LeBron is focused on that action and tagging responsibilities. And Ginobili immediately after coming off the action makes what I call an exit pass to get out of the action of the pick and roll early. And so the intent was not really to run a pick and roll. It was just to get the defense into a pick and roll defensive alignment that it compromises that defense. So you see LeBron is focused on Duncan, and this pass gets immediately whipped over to LeBron's man, who can then quickly penetrate past him for a layup. Next play. All right, so this one is pretty simple. We've got a cross match with Dwayne Wade on Boris Diaw. So Diaw is getting himself into a post position, and Dwayne Wade is fronting him. There's also a threat of a high-low opportunity where Splitter could receive a pass and then immediately swing it to Diaw with position on the seal here. So Diaw needs to carve out enough space for himself to receive this pass over the top, and once he can do that, he's going to draw LeBron as a helper. Once LeBron is drawn, then Kawhi Leonard's going to dive to the rim, which forces Ray Allen to rotate to him, and you'll see that Patty Mills is the one that's left open. Next one. All right, that is a pretty quick bang play, but it has got a lot going on and it's really fun. So this is a variation on both flex action and floppy action. So I'll start with floppy action is typically two guys on one side, it could be either side, and one guy on the other side, and then you've got a single player on the baseline that can choose either the double screen or the single screen to curl off of. So this is obviously a little bit different because there's one screener on each side, and then there's a screening man on the baseline. So that's where this also is inspired by flex action, which is a baseline screen, essentially. So you've got Kawhi Leonard setting that baseline screen, and then you've got Danny Green coming off this curl, which is getting hedged on that off-ball action, and then Ray Allen is going over instead of shooting the gap. If he shot the gap, he would be on the other side of Splitter, at which point Danny Green could fade back for a corner three, but since he's going over, Danny Green is going to curl towards the center, and now Splitter is left alone because of this aggressive coverage. And so he makes that pass there, which draws the help, and then it's Diaw getting a dunk. Next one. All right, so this is a pretty awesome misdirection type play, demonstrating a concept called shake action. It's not necessarily perfectly shake action because of this alignment but the concept is the same. So we've got a handoff pick and roll with Parker and Duncan with an empty corner. And Kawhi Leonard is going to be relocating from the baseline up to that corner while Duncan rolls. So you've got conflicting motion. You've got Duncan commanding gravity going to the rim, and you've got Leonard commanding gravity going to the perimeter. And Tony Parker's going to have to make a read based on where LeBron is. So LeBron is put in a predicament here where he has to decide whether to cover the roll man or his man. And so here you see he's covering Duncan, and a lot of this is just timing, but then he makes the decision to recover to his man, but then Parker slips the pass perfectly at the right time and the right angle to Duncan on the roll for a dunk or a layup. Next one. All right. This is a fun one because it has a Matt Bonner floater. So we're starting out with a double drag screen, and let's pay attention to the coverage here. You've got an over, and then you've got a hedge and a drop. Now, what Parker's going to do is make another exit pass to where it's less about the action and more about getting defenders into a particular position that you can therefore take advantage of. So this exit pass is going to be Kawhi Leonard, who is going to have a different angle of a pass to whatever player he's going to pass it to. And what we're going to see is Splitter is going to roll down the lane and occupy Shane Battier. And that is going to leave Bonner up at the top wide open, at which point he pump fakes into a drive and a floater. Next one. All right, let's rewatch that. So got a zipper cut to set it up, swing it, hand off. Okay, here's the meat and potatoes of this play, is this flex screen, or I guess baseline screen. So this is going to say, okay, Ray Allen, you need to cover Diaw in case he gets free for a layup, even though Ray Allen is guarding Danny Green. So since he's got to pause and cover Diaw there, now Danny Green can get out with him, and there's distance between him and his man. So now, once again, there's no shooting the gap there with Ray Allen going on the inside. He's going over that off-ball screen. And so Danny curls up and gets into position for a three. Next one. All right, so this is a couple different concepts. First of all, Chicago action and then shake action. So Chicago action happens right here, where the concept of Chicago action is a screen and then a handoff. So that screen gets some separation, and then the handoff gets a little bit better action than just a handoff without that first screen. Now we've got essentially a pick and roll, even though it's a handoff, and we've got, once again, that shake action with Diaw. He's, typically shake action starts in the corner and they shake up to the wing. This time he's coming from the baseline to the corner, and he's creating indecision here. So do you take Duncan on the roll, or do you take Diaw on the shake? And so in this case, it goes to Duncan. Or actually, sorry, it goes to Diaw first on the shake to get the defender off of Duncan, and then it's a quick swing. Next one. All right, so if you can see, this one is pretty dang similar to the last one we watched. So you start off once again with Chicago action. We're going to see an off-ball screen leading into a handoff. Where it gets a little different is there's a second ball screen here. And then it's not necessarily a shake, but Diao is going to position himself a little bit more favorably out of that pick and roll to provide maximum spacing. So now, once again, you've got everybody kind of caving in on Duncan here. Diao receives the pass. Once again, now Bosch is retreating back to Duncan, and LeBron's kind of in this area right here. So there's a fake pass to the corner, and then ultimately it gets swung to Leonard for the driving layup. So really, Duncan is a huge threat in this action, and Diao is just smart with manipulating the defense to account for the gravity that Duncan holds. Next one. So this one really highlights the amount of indecision that the Spurs offense causes the defense, and really highlights Manu Ginobili's manipulation of the defense. So let's break this down. So we've got Duncan is operating out of the elbow. He's going to do a handoff with Manu, and so you see him slip that action. So the defense has to make decisions sooner. There's not a lot of contact on that screen, so he's slipping that, and you see once again they're playing up on that action, so that commands that help will be sent from the backside of the defense. So where is that help going to come from, and what should Rashard Lewis do? Should he cover Diao or Duncan on the roll? And so watch Manu Ginobili. He waits until the last possible moment to commit to a pass here. So he's going to, first of all, he's looking at Diao in the corner, if you can see that. So that makes Rashard Lewis wonder who he should be covering. And then if we go forward just a little bit more, let's see, get the right spot here. So you could see he is making Rashard Lewis wait to make his decision as to who to cover. And that also makes the help over here wonder, does Rashard Lewis need to rotate to that corner, and then I need to take Duncan? So then both of them go to Duncan, and now we've got Chalmers on Kawhi, and he realizes he needs to close out to Tony Parker, but it's too late. Next. All right, so this one's a decently simple play. So we're going to start off here with the swing of the ball, and then we've got this baseline screen and by Danny Green. And what's happening here is Diao can use this screen to get into post position on the opposite side of the floor. And so you're going to see his man goes under this screen so that he's not in a fronting position and that he's below Diao. But the counter to this, and Diao knows that he's going to try to do this, so he kind of actually pushes him a little bit, and he's going to use him going under this action to develop strong defensive post position to say, hey, I don't need to go to the post. Instead, I can use this down screen by Tim Duncan and get a wide open three. Thanks for checking out this video. Please remember to subscribe to the channel and leave a comment and keep watching these videos. Thank you so much.